Have you ever felt like life is an endless battle? The noise of braggers, the sharp sting of criticism, or the anger that flares up when someone pushes you to your limits? It all feels like it's swallowing you whole. You shout, argue, and fight to prove yourself, but then what? You're still empty, exhausted, and no closer to becoming the successful person you strive to be. But what if I told you that true power doesn't come from words, but from silence? Not a weak silence, but the silence of a warrior, sharp, intentional, and stronger than any roar. Imagine this. You stand in the middle of a crowd, shouting, criticizing, competing, but you say nothing. Not because you're afraid, but because you hold a secret. Silence is the ultimate weapon for mastering the game. This is the art of Stoicism, the philosophy embraced by great minds like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, forged through centuries of wisdom. They didn't just survive chaos, they dominated it, not with fists or words, but by knowing when to stay silent. And now, as you burn with the desire to rise, you can do the same. Success isn't about being the loudest in the crowd. Success is about standing firm when everything falls apart, staying clear-headed when the world goes insane, and building a better version of yourself from failure. But how do you do that in a society where everyone is fighting to be heard? The answer lies in the 9 situations I'm about to share. 9 moments where silence isn't just the smart choice, but the key to unlocking a power you never knew you had. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Silence isn't surrender. It's taking back control of your emotions, your actions, and your destiny. You don't want to waste energy on meaningless battles anymore. You want to move forward, break limits, and leave your mark. But that path is full of traps, jealous critics, unexpected failures, moments when all you want to do is scream. Stoicism teaches that silence is the antidote. It doesn't just help you survive bad days, it transforms you into someone others respect. Not because you talk the most, but because you know when to say nothing at all. In these 9 situations, you'll see that silence is the foundation of self-mastery. From heated arguments that make your heart pound to losses that feel impossible to recover from, I'll show you how to use silence to turn pain into strength, chaos into opportunity, and failure into victory. This isn't just theory, this is an action plan, ready for you to apply right now to take control of your life. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen more and speak less." So why not start today? These 9 situations will transform the way you navigate the world and bring your dreams to life. Are you ready to master silence and win? Let's dive into the first situation. Situation 1, when facing a heated argument. Imagine you're in a tense meeting. Your colleague, the one who always thinks they're right, is tearing apart an idea you've spent weeks building. Their voice is sharp, their tone condescending, and every word feels like a dagger to your pride. Your heart pounds, blood rushes to your head, and all you want to do is shout back, "Do you even understand how hard I worked for this?" But pause for a second. This is the moment when silence becomes your strongest ally. Stoicism doesn't teach you to avoid conflict out of fear. It teaches you to master it. When someone attacks you with words, your instinct screams at you to fight back, to defend your honor. But listen to Epictetus, a man who was once a slave and rose to become one of the greatest philosophers. It's not what happens to you that hurts you, but how you react to it. If you jump into the argument, you don't just lose your composure, you lose control. But if you choose silence, you turn yourself into an impenetrable fortress. Think about Theodore Roosevelt, a tough yet remarkably wise US president. During a heated debate at the White House, when his advisors were shouting at each other over policy, Roosevelt sat in silence, saying nothing. Then when the moment was right, he finally spoke. Brief, sharp, and undeniable. No one dared to challenge him. He wasn't silent because he had nothing to say. He was silent because he was waiting for his words to carry the most weight. That's the lesson. Silence isn't losing. It's choosing to win on your terms. When you stay silent in the middle of an argument, something powerful happens. Your opponent, the one expecting you to explode, suddenly grows uneasy. They raise their voice, but their words start to lose strength because there's no reaction to fuel them. Meanwhile, you take a deep breath, let your mind settle, and ask yourself, is this even worth it? Do their words define my value? Marcus Aurelius once said, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Silence is how you refuse to be dragged into someone else's emotional storm. But don't get it wrong, silence doesn't mean you endure forever. It's a strategic pause, a foundation for a smarter response. In that meeting, instead of diving into a heated argument, you wait. Let the tension cool. Then when the moment is right, you present your ideas with calmness and precision. The result? Your ideas get heard and you earn respect, not because you were the loudest, but because you had control over yourself. That's the power of Stoicism, turning the storm into an opportunity to shine. Next time someone tries to spark an argument, whether it's a coworker, a friend, or even a family member, try this. Count to 5 in your head. Take a slow breath. Let silence do the work. You'll find that you're not just surviving the moment, you're coming out stronger. The writer Mark Twain once said, silence is golden, but sometimes it's a weapon. In Stoicism, it's always both. In the heat of the moment, silence doesn't just save you from regret, it turns you into the real winner. Situation 2. When surrounded by gossip, imagine walking into the office break room. A group of coworkers is whispering, throwing side glances your way with smug little smirks. You catch bits and pieces of their conversation. Your name, wrapped in some ridiculous rumor. They're saying you got promoted not because of your skills, but because you sucked up to the boss. Your blood boils. You want to march over, slam your hand on the table and shout, what do you even know about me? But stop. This is the moment where silence doesn't just protect you, it makes you the strongest person in the room. Rumors are like wildfires. The more oxygen you give them, the faster they spread. Stoicism teaches us that you can't extinguish every lie, but you can choose not to add fuel to the fire. Seneca, the Roman philosopher who lived amidst political schemes, once wrote, let petty minds say what they will. The wise know that true honor lies in actions, not words. When surrounded by gossip, silence is how you refuse to play their game, and that is the most powerful move you can make. Think about Oprah Winfrey. When she first started out, she faced endless criticism. People said she wasn't good enough, that her success was just luck or dependence on others. But instead of fighting back against every critic, Oprah chose silence and let her work speak for itself. The result? The rumors faded, and she became an icon no one dared to doubt. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was the confidence of someone who knew exactly where her true value lay. And you can do the same. When rumors swirl around you, your instinct might be to defend yourself, explain, or even fight back. But Stoicism tells you, stop. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, do these words change the truth about me? Do I really need to prove anything to them? Marcus Aurelius once said, if it's not true, don't worry about it. If it is, correct yourself. Silence gives you the space to see clearly. Rumors are just noise, and you don't have to dance to someone else's music. Even more powerful, when you stay silent, something remarkable happens. The gossipers lose interest because they get no reaction to fuel their story. Meanwhile, you stay focused on what truly matters, your work, your goals, and the person you want to become. Imagine this. Instead of getting caught up in office drama, you go back to your desk, crush your project, and let your results speak for themselves. Who wins in the end? Not the ones who waste their energy talking, but you with your composure and inner strength. Next time gossip finds its way to you, whether at work, in your family, or among friends, try this. Give a slight smile, nod as if you couldn't care less, then walk away. Let them talk. Let them wonder. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your life. The poet Rumi once said, silence is the language of the great. In Stoicism, silence doesn't just keep you out of trouble, it lifts you above the noise. When surrounded by rumors, let your silence turn you into a mountain, solid, unshaken, and completely untouchable. Situation 3. When someone provokes you. Imagine you're driving home after a long, exhausting day. The light just turned red, and the driver behind you starts honking like crazy, yelling through the window, "Move it, you idiot!" Your face heats up, your grip tightens on the steering wheel, and every part of you wants to turn around and shout, "Who do you think you are to talk to me like that?" Your anger flares, your heart pounds. You've been provoked. But this is the moment where silence doesn't just save you from trouble, it proves that you're the one in control. Stoicism doesn't teach you to bow down to your enemies. It teaches you to defeat them without lowering yourself to their level. When someone tries to provoke you, what they really want is for you to lose control. That's how they win. Epictetus, who endured the cruelty of slavery, once said, "If someone can make you angry, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." Silence is not surrender. It's how you refuse to let anyone else control your emotions. Think about Abraham Lincoln. During a public debate, his opponent relentlessly mocked his appearance and humble beginnings. The crowd roared with laughter, waiting for Lincoln to fire back. But he didn't. He stood there in silence, his eyes thoughtful. Then when it was his turn to speak, he responded, calm, sharp, and deliberate. His words didn't just silence the mockery, they earned him respect. Lincoln understood that reacting impulsively would make him weaker. Silence gave him the strength to strike back with reason, not emotion. When someone provokes you, they're throwing a fireball your way, and you have two choices. Catch it and let it burn you, or let it fall and burn out on its own. Stoicism chooses the second. Think about that angry driver. If you shout back, you've fallen into his trap, a pointless roadside argument where nobody wins and you lose your peace of mind. But if you stay silent, you keep your dignity. You take a deep breath and remind yourself, he's not worth my energy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who wronged you." Silence is how you rise above. It's how you remain untouchable. But silence here doesn't mean bottling everything up forever. It's a pause, a moment to reclaim control. In that split second, you can offer a slight smile, not out of mockery, but as a reminder to yourself that you're above this. Then you simply drive away, leaving that guy alone with his own anger. The result? You don't just avoid a bad day, you build the self-control that truly successful people possess. Next time someone provokes you, whether it's an insult online, a snide remark from a friend, or a condescending glance from a stranger, try this. Bite your lip for a second, count to 3 in your head, and let silence speak for you. You'll feel the anger fade, replaced by a strange, undeniable sense of strength. Modern philosopher Jordan Peterson once said, "The person who controls their emotions controls their future." With Stoicism, staying silent in the face of provocation doesn't just save you from regret, it makes you a warrior, undefeated from within. Situation 4. When overwhelmed by chaos. Imagine waking up to a morning of pure chaos. Your phone is blowing up with messages from your boss. A critical project is delayed. Your kid is in tears because they forgot their homework. Outside, the rain is pouring, flooding the streets, turning traffic into a nightmare. Everything is hitting you at once. You feel like you're drowning, and all you want to do is scream. Why is everything going wrong? But this is the moment when silence isn't just an escape, it's how you find clarity in the storm. Stoicism doesn't promise that life will be easy. It teaches you how to stand firm when the world spins out of control. When chaos hits, your instinct is to panic, to try and control everything, but you can't. Seneca, who endured brutal political turmoil, once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Silence in the midst of chaos is how you break free from negative thoughts and reclaim control over your mind. Think about Serena Williams. In the heat of a tense match, when her opponent is leading and the crowd is roaring, she doesn't lash out or complain. She stands still, takes a deep breath, and locks her eyes on the ball. That silence isn't surrender, it's preparation. She wins not because of luck, but because she knows how to stay calm when everything is chaotic. That's the lesson. When life throws you into the fire, silence is the shield that keeps you from burning. When chaos surrounds you, you have two choices. Chase after it and let it pull you under, or stand still and let it pass on its own. Stoicism chooses the second. On that crazy morning, instead of snapping at your boss, yelling at your kid, or cursing the weather, pause, step into a quiet space, even if it's just in your mind, and ask yourself, What here is actually within my control? Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your interpretation of it, and you have the power to change that at any moment." Silence helps you filter out the noise and find your way forward. Think about it. If you stay silent, take a deep breath, and tackle one thing at a time. Reply to your boss calmly, help your child settle down, then accept the rain. You won't just survive the day, you'll come out stronger. Silence doesn't make chaos disappear, but it gives you the strength not to be consumed by it. Next time everything feels like it's falling apart, work piling up, family tensions rising, life spinning out of control, try this. Find one moment of stillness, count your breaths from 1 to 5, and let your mind settle. Writer Ernest Hemingway once said, "Courage is grace under pressure." With Stoicism, silence in the midst of chaos doesn't just help you endure, it turns you into a lighthouse, standing tall and shining bright, even in the darkest storm. Situation 5, when tempted to boast. Imagine you just landed a huge contract at work. Your colleagues pat you on the back, your boss sends a congratulatory email, and inside a fire of pride burns bright. You walk into the meeting room, all eyes on you, and you feel the urge to stand up and declare, "I did the impossible. Look how great I am." The words are right there, ready to spill out. But this is the moment when silence doesn't just keep you humble, it makes you stronger than your success itself. Stoicism doesn't forbid you from being proud of your achievements. It teaches you that true value doesn't need to be shouted to be recognized. When you feel tempted to boast, that's your ego knocking, craving attention and validation from others. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who rejected lavish glory, once wrote, "Do good work and cast it into the river, expect no praise." Staying silent in the face of self-promotion is how you prove that your success is big enough to speak for itself. Think about Steve Jobs. When he unveiled the first iPhone, he didn't stand on stage bragging about his sleepless nights or personal genius. He stayed silent and let the product speak for itself. The crowd erupted, not because he boasted, but because he let his work shine. Jobs' silence wasn't shyness, it was absolute confidence. The kind of confidence that doesn't need words to prove itself. You can do the same. When you feel the urge to boast, you're handing your self-worth over to others. You need their applause, their nods of approval to feel important. But Stoicism tells you to stop. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, do I need anyone to recognize this besides me? Seneca once said, "The man who boasts is like someone shouting from a mountaintop. His echo is nothing but an illusion." If you stay silent in that meeting, no bragging about the contract, just a quiet smile and a return to your work. What happens? People will recognize your value through your actions, not your words. Moreover, silence protects you from the trap of arrogance. Boasting might lift you up for a moment, but it also invites envy and doubt from others. Instead, let your success sink in quietly. In that meeting, when a colleague asks, "How did you pull it off?" just shrug and say, "Just a bit of luck." But deep down, you know the truth, and that's enough. Silence doesn't just safeguard your victory, it shapes you into someone humble yet untouchable. Next time you achieve something big, a successful project, praise from your boss, or a major milestone in life, and you feel the urge to shout it to the world, try this. Pause for a second, look around, and let silence speak for you. Let your work, your attitude, and your results do the talking. Inventor Thomas Edison once said, "I don't talk much because what I do speaks for itself." With Stoicism, staying silent in moments of pride doesn't just keep you grounded, it elevates you. Because true greatness never needs to announce itself. Situation 6, when grieving a loss. Imagine a gray, rainy day. You sit alone in an empty room. Then comes the message. Your best friend is gone. A sudden accident, and just like that, they're never coming back. Your mind spins, your heart clenches, and you want to scream at the world, "Why me? Why now?" The pain drowns you, and every breath feels like a dagger to the chest. But this is the moment when silence is more than just a refuge. It's the space where loss transforms into strength, where grief finds its way forward. Stoicism doesn't deny your grief, It teaches you that loss is an unavoidable part of life, and how you face it shapes who you are. When someone you love is gone, or when a dream shatters, your instinct is to scream, to break down, to look for someone to blame. But Marcus Aurelius, who lost countless loved ones and watched an empire slip through his fingers, once wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you as if you had chosen it." Silence in grief isn't denial, it's the strength to embrace reality and find yourself again. Think about J.K. Rowling. Before she became a world-famous author, she lost her mother, the one person who truly believed in her dream of writing. During those darkest days, she didn't lash out at fate or seek sympathy from the world. She sat in silence, let the pain sink in, and turned it into the creative fire that brought Harry Potter to life. Her silence wasn't surrender, it was resilience. It was how she transformed loss into an immortal legacy. You can do the same. When you're grieving, it feels like the world is falling apart. You have two choices. Let the pain consume you, or stand still and let it pass through you. Stoicism chooses the latter. In that empty room, instead of shouting at the rain outside, sit down, breathe slowly, and remind yourself, this is something I cannot change, but I can change how I live with it. Seneca once said, "Death is not a loss, it is the return of all things to nature." Silence helps you see the truth. Your friend is not truly gone. They live on in your memories and the way they shaped you. But silence here doesn't mean locking away your emotions. It's a pause, to reflect, to let the pain teach you something deeper. Maybe today you can't get back up, but tomorrow, because of that silence, you'll find a reason to move forward, whether it's a small smile or a new goal. In your grief, you don't have to explain anything to anyone. Just let time and stillness heal you. The result? You don't just get through the loss, you become a stronger, wiser version of yourself. The next time you face a loss, whether it's losing a loved one, a job, or a part of yourself, try this. Find a quiet corner, place your hand on your chest, and let silence hold you for 5 minutes. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. Just breathe and feel. Poet Rainer Maria Rilke once said, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final." With Stoicism, silence in grief doesn't just help you survive the pain. It turns you into a mountain, standing strong even as the sky falls. Situation 7, when confronted with ignorance. Imagine you're sitting in a family gathering. Your uncle, who prides himself on his outdated opinions, loudly declares, "The world hasn't changed. Things were just fine the old way." You know he's wrong. Data, experience, and reality itself prove otherwise. Frustration rises in your chest. You want to jump in, correct every word. "Have you even read anything about this?" But this is the moment when silence doesn't just save you from wasting your breath. It makes you wiser than blind arrogance ever could. Stoicism doesn't teach you to argue with every ignorant person you meet. It teaches you that other people's ignorance is not your burden to carry. When someone clings to false beliefs, your instinct is to jump in, prove them wrong, and set them straight. But Epictetus, who encountered plenty of ignorance in his lifetime, once said, "You cannot teach a person something they do not want to learn." Staying silent in the face of ignorance is not losing, it's refusing to waste your energy on battles that aren't worth fighting. Think about Albert Einstein. When he introduced the theory of relativity, conservative scientists mocked him, calling it nonsense. Did Einstein argue with every critic? Number. He stayed silent, kept working, and let time and truth do the talking. His silence wasn't weakness, it was the confidence of someone who knew that truth doesn't need to shout to exist. You can do the same. When faced with ignorance, you have two choices: jump into an argument and exhaust yourself in vain, or stand still and let them reveal their own limitations. Stoicism chooses the second. In that family gathering, instead of debating with your uncle, take a deep breath and ask yourself, will this change anything? Do I really need to prove anything to him? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find peace." Silence helps you see the truth. Their ignorance is their problem, not yours. Moreover, silence does something words cannot. It leaves an impression. When you don't react, your uncle might raise his voice, but eventually he'll realize how foolish he looks when no one engages. Meanwhile, you stay calm, focused on what truly matters, your work, your goals, or simply the dinner in front of you. The result? You don't just avoid a pointless argument, you become a model of patience and wisdom that others quietly admire. Next time you're faced with ignorance, whether it's a stubborn coworker, a close-minded friend, or a ridiculous comment online, try this. Smile slightly, nod as if you heard them, and go back to what matters. Don't argue, don't explain, just stay silent and move on. Writer George Bernard Shaw once said, "Never wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty and the pig likes it." With Stoicism, silence in the face of ignorance doesn't just keep you out of trouble, it makes you like the wind, gliding past the rocks without ever needing to stop. Situation 8. When witnessing injustice. Imagine you're standing in line at the grocery store. A single mother holding her baby tries to pay but is a few dollars short. The cashier snaps, "If you don't have enough money, don't buy it," right in front of everyone. The baby starts crying, the mother's face flushes with embarrassment, and you feel anger rising in your chest. You want to shout at the cashier, "Do you even know what she's going through?" But this is the moment when silence doesn't just hold you back. It becomes the force that turns injustice into an opportunity for real action. Stoicism doesn't tell you to ignore injustice. It teaches you that true strength lies in how you respond, not in an impulsive outburst. When you witness wrongdoing, anger pushes you to react immediately, to set things right on the spot. But Marcus Aurelius, who saw countless injustices in his empire, wrote, "Do what is right, but never let your emotions overpower your reason." Silence in the face of injustice isn't acceptance. It's the first step toward acting with clarity and impact. Think about Fred Rogers, the beloved television host known for his kindness. One day during a show taping, he witnessed a backstage worker harshly scolding a young assistant over a small mistake. Instead of loudly reprimanding the worker, Rogers remained silent, walked over, and gently spoke with the assistant, offering reassurance. Later, he discreetly reported the incident to ensure it was handled appropriately without making a scene. His silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom, turning a tense moment into an opportunity to do the right thing. You can do the same. When faced with injustice, you have two choices. Let anger pull you into chaos, or pause and choose a wiser way to fight. Stoicism chooses the latter. In that supermarket, instead of shouting at the cashier, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what can I do that's actually helpful right now? Maybe you quietly step forward and cover the few missing dollars for the mother, or perhaps you report the cashier's behavior to the manager afterward. Epictetus once said, "Endure and restrain yourself. That's how you overcome adversity." Silence gives you the space to turn raw emotion into meaningful action. Moreover, silence in the face of injustice sends a powerful message. The cashier might expect you to argue, giving him a chance to justify himself. But when you say nothing, your calmness unsettles him. Meanwhile, you keep your dignity and inspire those around you. The result? You don't just help the struggling mother. You become a quiet flame, lighting hope in the darkness. The next time you witness injustice, whether it's a colleague being mistreated, a stranger being humiliated, or a wrongdoing in your community, try this. Pause, count to 5 in your head, and let silence guide you toward the right action. Don't shout, do something. Activist Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." In Stoicism, silence is not passivity. It is the foundation from which you rise, strong and unshaken, to change the world in your own way. Situation 9. When receiving harsh judgment. Imagine you've just presented a new idea in a team meeting. You spent countless nights preparing, believing it could transform the way everyone works. But then your boss, with a cold stare, cuts you off. "This is worthless. Have you lost your mind?" The room falls silent. Your colleagues exchange glances. It feels like a dagger to the heart. Anger rises. You want to shout back, "Do you have any idea how much effort I put into this?" But this is the moment when silence doesn't just protect you, It's how you turn harsh judgment into fuel for your growth. Stoicism doesn't teach you to shrink in the face of criticism. It teaches you that other people's words don't define your worth. Only you do. When someone throws harsh judgment at you, your instinct is to fight back, to prove them wrong. But Marcus Aurelius, who faced criticism from his own court, wrote, "If it's not true, don't worry about it. If it is, use it to improve yourself." Staying silent in the face of judgment isn't weakness. It's how you maintain control over your mind and your dignity. Think about Walt Disney. When he first started building his animation empire, a newspaper editor bluntly told him, "He has no creativity. He'll fail in no time." Disney didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply went back to his studio and let films like Snow White prove his worth. His silence wasn't surrender. It was determination. It was how he turned criticism into fuel for greatness. And you can do the same. When faced with harsh judgment, you have two choices. Let it drag you into self-doubt, or stand firm and use it as a stepping stone to rise higher. Stoicism chooses the latter. In that meeting, instead of arguing with your boss, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is not the truth about me, it's just his opinion. Epictetus once said, "Others may harm your body, but only you can let them harm your soul." Silence gives you the space to see clearly. That judgment is their burden to carry, not yours. Moreover, staying silent in the face of criticism does something that an emotional reaction never can. It makes people rethink their words. Your boss might expect you to lash out, proving his point. But when you remain calm, he'll start wondering, why isn't he shaken? Meanwhile, you go back to work, refine your ideas, and let your results speak for themselves. The outcome? You don't just withstand the criticism, you become someone they'll think twice before underestimating again. Next time someone throws harsh words at you, your boss calls you useless, your friends say you're chasing a foolish dream, or your family doubts you'll ever make it, try this. Look them in the eye, give a small nod as if you've heard them, and then walk away in silence. No arguing, no explaining. Just focus on proving them wrong through action. The writer Maya Angelou once said, "Words have power, but silence is stronger." In Stoicism, staying silent in the face of judgment doesn't just keep you from regret, it turns you into a fortress, untouchable by the arrows of the world. You've now walked through 9 situations, heated arguments that made your heart race, harsh judgments that nearly broke you. Each time I revealed a secret. Silence is not weakness. It is the ultimate strength, the quiet fire that forges the person you aspire to be. Stoicism isn't just the philosophy of great minds like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus. It's a roadmap to mastering your own life today in a world that never stops screaming. Look back. When arguments flare up, silence keeps you from regret. When rumors swirl, it lets the truth speak for itself. When someone provokes you, it makes you an undefeated warrior. When chaos surrounds you, it becomes the lighthouse guiding you through the storm. When the urge to boast rises, it keeps you humble yet powerful. When loss strikes, it turns pain into wisdom. When faced with ignorance, it lifts you above blind arrogance. When injustice appears, it leads you to the right action. And when harsh judgment cuts deep, it makes you a fortress, unshaken and unbreakable. 9 moments of silence, 9 victories. Not through words, but through the way you choose to live. The world out there will never stop shouting, criticizing, and trying to pull you down. But you don't have to play by its rules. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Silence is how you become that person, not for applause, but so you can stand tall in front of the mirror each night, proud of who you are. You don't need to yell to prove your worth. Let your actions, your resilience, and your inner peace speak for you. Now take these lessons into the world. The next time life throws a challenge your way, a harsh insult, a failure, or just a rough day, pause, breathe, count to 5 if you need to, and let silence guide you. What do you feel when you stay silent instead of reacting? What strength rises within you? Share your experience in the comments. I want to hear your story, the moment you won through stillness. If you found value in this journey, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs it, and follow Stoic Brim for more deep wisdom from Stoicism. Lessons that will keep elevating your life. Try it today. Choose one moment to stay silent instead of reacting, and feel the shift. This isn't just theory, it's real power right in your hands. Subscribe to Stoic Brim, like, and follow so you never miss a lesson. We're building a life worth living, one step at a time. The poet Rumi once said, "Beyond right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there." In Stoicism, that field is silence, and I hope you step into it, strong, unwavering, and ready to conquer every dream.